What's happening today? January 10.
Powerful tornadoes tore through parts of Oklahoma, leaving a trail of destruction in several communities. One EF1 rated tornado swept across the area of Purcell, about 65 kilometers south of Oklahoma City, ripping apart metal barns and tearing sections of roofs off residential homes. Another tornado struck near Shawnee, where strong winds knocked down trees, damaged power lines, and caused disruption to local infrastructure. In Purcell, most residents were left without electricity as the storm system passed through the area. Despite the significant damage, authorities report no confirmed injuries or fatalities so far. Emergency crews and weather specialists remain on site, assessing the impact and helping residents deal with the aftermath. Meteorologists warn that atmospheric conditions remain unstable, and the risk of additional tornadoes has not yet fully passed. A 6.1 magnitude earthquake struck northern Chile, shaking the area around the coastal city of Tocopilla and triggering brief panic among residents. The tremors lasted several seconds and were strong enough to cause furniture to sway, prompting some people to rush outside in fear. According to seismic data, the quake originated at a shallow depth, which intensified ground shaking across the city and nearby communities. As a result, structural damage was reported, including cracks in building facades, falling plaster, and partial collapses of lightweight or temporary structures. The earthquake also caused temporary disruptions to electricity and water supply in several neighborhoods. Emergency services and technical teams were deployed to inspect damaged buildings and assess the condition of critical infrastructure. Authorities confirmed that no fatalities have been reported, though a small number of residents suffered minor injuries. Officials continue to monitor the situation and have urged the public to remain alert in case of aftershocks. Storm Goretti has slammed into France and the United Kingdom, bringing destructive winds, power outages, and major disruptions across northern Europe. The powerful system hit on Friday, leaving hundreds of thousands of homes without electricity and forcing authorities to shut down transport and schools. In France, around 380,000 households lost power, mainly in Normandy and Brittany. Wind gusts exceeded 150 kilometers per hour in the Manche department overnight, while the coastal town of Barfleur recorded an extreme gust of 213 kilometers per hour, setting a local record. Due to the dangerous conditions, national rail operator SNCF suspended train services between Paris and Normandy, citing safety concerns. Meanwhile, in the United Kingdom, the storm brought fresh snowfall on top of a week of severe frost, worsening conditions across the country. According to the National Power Grid, approximately 57,000 homes were left without electricity. Authorities announced the closure of hundreds of schools, particularly in Scotland and parts of central England, where the impact was strongest. Rail companies in affected regions urged passengers to avoid travel, warning of widespread delays, cancellations, and suspended routes. Emergency crews continue working to restore power and clear infrastructure, as forecasters warn that hazardous weather conditions may persist. A major fire broke out at the Komodita home mattress factory in the city of Gjakova, Kosovo, causing extensive damage to the industrial facility. The blaze started in the late afternoon, around 4:50 p.m., and rapidly spread across a large section of the production building located on Gjergj Sokoli Street. All employees were safely evacuated in time, and no injuries or fatalities have been reported. Firefighting units from 7 different municipalities were deployed to bottle the flames, working for hours to bring the situation under control. The fire caused severe material losses, with damage estimated in the millions of euros. Large portions of the factory were destroyed, significantly impacting production operations. Authorities and fire investigators have launched an official inquiry to determine the exact cause of the fire. A powerful tornado swept through areas near La Cumbrecita in Argentina's Córdoba province, leaving visible destruction in its wake. The violent vortex tore through residential neighborhoods and farm buildings, ripping roofs apart, uprooting trees, and knocking down power lines, which cut electricity to several nearby communities. The storm was accompanied by intense rainfall and sudden wind gusts, making emergency response and cleanup operations far more challenging. Crews are now working to clear fallen debris and restore basic services, while local authorities continue assessing the full extent of the damage. So far, no fatalities have been reported. Officials say information about possible injuries is still being verified as inspections continue across the affected areas.
A deadly bus crash in northern India has claimed at least 14 lives after a passenger vehicle plunged into a deep mountain gorge. The accident occurred in the village of Haripur Dar in the Sirmaur district of Himachal, Pradesh, roughly 140 kilometers southeast of the state capital, Shimla. According to emergency services, the bus veered off a narrow mountain road and fell nearly 500 meters into the ravine. The impact left the vehicle severely mangled, making rescue efforts extremely difficult. At least 52 passengers were injured and rushed to nearby hospitals, while officials warn that the death toll could rise, as several victims remain in critical condition. Witnesses say the driver may have lost control while navigating a sharp curve, a common danger on the region's steep and winding roads, many of which lack proper safety barriers. Mountain transport routes in this part of India are notoriously hazardous, especially for overcrowded buses. Road accidents remain a major issue nationwide. Last year alone, India recorded more than 480,000 traffic crashes, highlighting ongoing concerns about road safety, infrastructure, and enforcement in high-risk areas.
A wildfire broke out near the city of Guigong in China's Guangxi Zhuang Autonomous Region, rapidly spreading through forested hills as dry conditions and gusty winds fueled the flames. The fire moved quickly across dense vegetation, covering large areas in a short period of time. Thick smoke drifted into nearby towns, significantly reducing air quality and visibility. Residents reported breathing discomfort, while traffic in several areas became hazardous due to poor sight conditions. Local authorities urged people to stay indoors, keep windows closed, and limit outdoor activity until conditions improved. Firefighting teams, forestry services, and volunteers were deployed to battle the blaze. Heavy equipment and aerial water drops were used to reach hard-to-access terrain, but steep hills and dense forest slowed containment efforts and extended the operation. Beyond the immediate damage, the fire left long-term environmental impacts, destroying forest cover and disrupting local ecosystems. Experts warn that the loss of vegetation increases the risk of soil erosion and landslides, especially if heavy rain follows in the coming days.
Rare heavy snow blankets Mauna Kea in Hawaii, covering the summit with 25 centimeters overnight. While the rest of the state experiences cold and damp conditions, temperatures at the mountain's 4,115-meter peak dropped below freezing, allowing snow to accumulate into a dense layer. Access to the summit has been closed. The Mauna Kea conservation crew is working with snowplows, 2 snowblowers, and a front loader to clear the roads. Forecasters warn that heavy rain is expected later today and tonight, meaning crews may have to repeat the clearing process. Snowfall at Mauna Kea happens a few times each year, but such a heavy accumulation remains a rare spectacle, drawing attention from locals and visitors alike. A powerful tornado struck the city of Welkom in South Africa, leaving behind widespread damage to urban infrastructure. Violent wind gusts tore through the area, completely destroying a local fire station and severely damaging the roofs and facades of several residential buildings. Multiple vehicles were also damaged by flying debris. Residents were forced to evacuate unsafe structures as emergency crews moved in quickly to secure the area. Rescue teams began clearing debris, assessing structural damage, and assisting affected residents. The tornado lifted metal fragments, roofing materials, and other debris into the air, creating dangerous conditions for both pedestrians and traffic. Despite the scale of destruction, no injuries have been reported so far, according to preliminary information. However, officials say the material losses are significant, and damage assessments are still ongoing. Local authorities are continuing inspections to ensure buildings are safe and are urging residents to remain cautious as cleanup efforts continue and weather conditions remain unstable. Severe weather has swept across the Balkans, bringing heavy rain and snowfall and triggering deadly flooding in Albania. One person has been confirmed dead as emergency services continue large-scale rescue operations across the region.
In the coastal city of Doris, rescue teams recovered the body of a man who was killed during flooding after days of intense rainfall. Emergency crews have been working around the clock, evacuating residents from flooded neighborhoods and pumping water from streets and buildings. According to Albanian authorities, extreme weather conditions have disrupted transport and critical infrastructure across the Western Balkans. Snowstorms and torrential rain forced the closure of key road and rail routes, while many areas reported power outages and interruptions to drinking water supplies. The Albanian Ministry of Defense stated that in the southwestern regions, including Fier and Vlorë, rescue teams were forced to use boats to reach residents cut off by rapidly rising floodwaters. The Vjosa River surged past 9 meters, inundating surrounding communities and isolating entire neighborhoods. The victim was identified as a 55-year-old municipal worker who had been missing since earlier in the week. His body was discovered in a drainage canal in Doris, and officials believe he was swept away by powerful flood currents while on duty. Emergency services report that nearly 800 residential and public buildings are currently undergoing water removal operations. Around 300 people have been relocated to temporary shelters as authorities assess damage and monitor further risks. Meanwhile, in Kosovo, floodwaters have begun to recede, but the weather has shifted to heavy snowfall, creating new hazards. Bosnia and Herzegovina is facing similar conditions, with snow replacing rain and complicating recovery efforts across the region.
A wildfire has erupted near the town of Pearly Beach in South Africa's Western Cape. The blaze spread rapidly, fueled by hot weather, strong winds, and dry coastal vegetation, putting nearby homes at risk. Authorities have declared a state of high alert, with firefighters and volunteer teams quickly deployed to contain the fire. Fire breaks were established, heavy machinery was brought in, and air support was used to control the advancing flames. Residents in surrounding areas have been advised to stay prepared for possible evacuation. Some roads were temporarily closed due to thick smoke and fire hazards, which also reduced air quality across the region, posing a threat to those with respiratory conditions. Emergency services continue to battle the fire, working to protect communities and prevent further spread. Rare heavy snow blankets Mauna Kea in Hawaii, covering the summit with 25 centimeters overnight. While the rest of the state experiences cold and damp conditions, temperatures at the mountain's 4,115-meter peak dropped below freezing, allowing snow to accumulate into a dense layer. Access to the summit has been closed. The Mauna Kea conservation crew is working with snowplows, 2 snowblowers, and a front loader to clear the roads. Forecasters warn that heavy rain is expected later today and tonight, meaning crews may have to repeat the clearing process. Snowfall at Mauna Kea happens a few times each year, but such a heavy accumulation remains a rare spectacle, drawing attention from locals and visitors alike. A waterspout has been spotted in the Red Sea near the coast of Rabigh, Saudi Arabia. Towering columns of water rose several meters into the air, drawing attention from locals and fishermen along the shore. Authorities confirmed that the event occurred in open waters, and fortunately, no boats or people were harmed. However, the waterspout created dangerous conditions for small vessels and coastal areas, with sudden waves and gusty winds posing a serious risk. Fishermen and recreational boats are advised to stay clear of the formation. Meteorologists note that waterspouts are a seasonal phenomenon in this region, but their intensity and frequency can increase when strong winds combine with unstable sea conditions. Officials urge residents to remain cautious and avoid venturing onto the water until the waterspout dissipates. A massive crack has appeared in the Earth's surface in central Ethiopia following a series of earthquakes, raising concerns among scientists and local residents. The latest tremor struck on January 2nd, registering a magnitude of 5.1. The shaking was felt across Dulecha district and nearby communities, where people reported buildings swaying and household items falling to the floor. Despite the intensity of the tremors, no injuries have been reported. Geologists say the growing fracture is linked to ongoing tectonic activity, caused by magma pushing upward into the upper layers of the Earth's crust. This process is common in the Afar region, one of the most geologically active zones on the planet, and may signal increasing volcanic activity beneath the surface. Seismologists continue to closely monitor the area, warning that additional earthquakes are possible as underground pressure remains high.
Authorities urge residents to stay alert, while scientists assess the long-term risks posed by the shifting ground. Flash flooding hits Mecca, Saudi Arabia, after intense rainfall swept across the western regions of the country. The heavy downpours caused water levels to rise rapidly, inundating streets, low-lying areas, and access roads throughout the city. Floodwaters disrupted traffic, leaving many vehicles partially or completely submerged. In some districts, movement came to a standstill, while emergency services worked around the clock to manage the situation. Public transport faced interruptions, and pilgrims navigating the city experienced significant delays. Residential areas were also affected, with water entering yards, basements, and underground parking lots. Residents were forced to abandon their cars and seek higher ground. Municipal teams deployed pumps to drain water and clear storm drains, working tirelessly to restore safety and access across the city. Severe flooding has struck North Sulawesi, Indonesia, leaving at least 14 people dead and 4 others missing. Heavy rains have inundated Siau Island in the Siau Tagulandang Biaro district, destroying hundreds of homes and government buildings. Emergency teams have evacuated at least 444 residents to schools and churches, providing temporary shelter. Main roads in the affected areas are blocked by mud, rocks, and debris, complicating rescue operations. Heavy machinery has been deployed to clear the streets and assist survivors. The disaster has severely damaged infrastructure, disrupted transportation, and left many residents without access to water and electricity. Rescue teams and volunteers continue to search for the missing and provide urgent aid to those stranded by the floodwaters. In the Brazilian city of Piranhas, Rio Grande do Norte, the world's largest cashew tree is still growing. Its canopy covers an astonishing 8,400 square meters, with a circumference stretching 500 meters, comparable to about 70 regular cashew trees. Legend has it that the tree was planted in 1888 by a local fisherman who later passed away at the remarkable age of 93 in its shade. Experts estimate that this giant could be over 1,000 years old. Its branches naturally grow outward, and when they touch the ground, new roots form, allowing the tree to continue expanding. Every year, the massive cashew produces more than 60,000 fruits and attracts around 300,000 visitors. Its incredible size has earned it a place in the Guinness World Records, and a specially built observation deck lets tourists truly grasp the scale of this natural wonder.